seeing that adoption of AI continues to grow. It's
Yeah.
more buyers find AI to be an important interaction that they have over other interactions. They seek validation of AI. Their human interactions are growing, but buyers also tap into a larger buying network, as we talked about, to get validation of what they're finding. Then we also know that buyer complexity not only remains, but it's continuing to grow because buying groups remain large, buyers engage in multiple interactions, and there are multiple partners and parts of solutions that are driving that business outcome. And so when we looked at the data, we found that 95% of buyers have adopted Gen AI and use it at different phases across the buying process. So we think about they've used some sort of AI assisted Gen AI tool for searching. Maybe they use Copilot, ChatGPT. It might be public, it might be private. There's a whole range of these tools and solutions that they're using. And it's a huge tool for business buyers. Buyers are using it across, like I said, every single phase of the buyer's journey, not just in the beginning where they're information gathering. So it's pervasive across all buyers. And then when we look at what are the interactions that buyers are having and what matters most, and dig a little bit more into what this means for buyers, when we asked them what the most meaningful interactions were, it's the top rated interaction, generative AI search tool, right? They use it to do their own research, they use it to gather information during this purchase process. But we also do see it being accompanied by a little mistrust. And so we know that it's not 100% reliable. But when we asked buyers what interactions were meaningful, we also separated it by both personal and self guided sources of information that they might find meaningful. And when we look at doing it both personal, self guided, we also need to be aware and remind ourselves that buyers doing a lot of things across a lot of different interactions. And so, yes, they're using generative AI, it's number one. But we also see that there's some very meaningful personal interactions that we're seeing. So they still want to go to trade shows. They still want to talk to product experts. They still talk to sales reps because we know that those are part of their validation process. Just like they're using Gen AI, they're also using classic search, like they're going to industry associations, they're going to internet searches, they're using social media. So we need to understand what's important to them and how it's changing and how it's changing their research. But we can't lose sight of the fact that it's not the only thing they're doing. So while it's hugely important, it hasn't replaced everything. They're still doing that regular search. They're still talking to vendors. They're still gathering information and important information from other people. So when we ask them specifically about what's meaningful, we ask them not how many times they did this, because they might be searching on Gen AI constantly in the background. We ask them, which might be less often than they talk to a product expert or less often that they attend a conference. But we asked them the question very intentionally to say what was the most meaningful interaction. And so it's very, very meaningful. To just draw your attention to a couple of things that's changed, because I talked about was we do this survey every year. Product experts actually dropped from being the number one personal interaction to being number five. And if you think about it, they're replacing some of that search and some of that conversation with using Gen AI to search, strengths and weaknesses, product features and functionality. So they're getting it from other places, but it doesn't diminish the fact that all of these things are equal. The other thing is that we should look at that social media and conferences shot way up. This is how do we get validation at scale?